Hey folks, welcome back to another episode of Stoner TV coming to you from New Wieso in Leipzig. And today I have a very interesting episode for you. And we're gonna deal with one of the great mysteries coming from India. And it's within this we will also hit philosophical questions. Is the future predictable? Is everything written down for you? Well, what I'm going to tell you today about is the mystery of the palm leaf libraries in India. And you're going to get a first-hand report, because I traveled a lot in my life and I spent quite some time in India. And within one of my big India journeys, I also had the grace, and that's the way I feel it. It's a very special thing that I received there. I received it as a gift. And I had the chance to visit one of these palm leaf libraries and got a confrontation with the infinite, so to say. And that's a very important and powerful experience of my life, and I want to share that with you. So the story goes, it's the palm leaf libraries in India, and the story goes that there's places in India. And in those places, every man or woman, no matter where you come from, if you ever, once in your lifetime, if you enter or if you visit these libraries, there's a palm leaf written especially for you with information about your personal life. Now that's an amazing thing. I mean, how can people in India know anything about your life? Well, it's a mystery. It's India, and I tell you, in India you might experience a lot of things that don't really fit into our modern worldview, but this is an old tradition, and it's a special thing. So for every human being who's coming to a library like this, and if you ask there, they will have a palm leaf with information that is just for you. The palm leaves. The reason why they have palm leaves is because in ancient India they had no paper, so they were using palm leaves as just something to write upon, and that's the way the stuff looks like. So we're not talking about a big palm leaf like this. So this is one of these palm leaves, and this is the text that is written down. And of course, these palm leaves then are put together into bundles, and there's. I guess it's no exaggeration if I say there's millions of these palm leaves in one single library. The story goes that there's more than one. I heard the story that there's 12 of these libraries in India. I'm not sure about that. What I can say for sure, and you get this firsthand, is what I tell you is about the palm leaf library in Bangalore in South India. And I visited the palm leaf library in the year 2000. So it's already some time away. And that brings me in the position that I can say, okay, what about the predictions for the future that were made at that time? How did my life work out? And it's very interesting stuff. But first I want to tell you how I got there. Because for me personally, I didn't have any big ambitions, especially not at this time of my life. At this time of my life, I was so free, you know. I was living in the here and now, and I didn't care at all about future or whatever. It was just a flow. These India journeys, I mean, this was just flowing from moment to moment. That was amazing. Yeah? So I didn't really have such a big desire to, or I didn't also have these big answers about, or questions about my future. It was not of big interest for me. But I was traveling together with my lady, and she heard of these palm leaf libraries already back in their childhood. And she used to grow up in Eastern Germany, and that was in a country where you wouldn't have many traveling plans, because you couldn't travel easily if you were born in East Germany and stuff. But already as a child she heard this. She heard this story that there is this place where your life is written down on a palm leaf, and she never forgot that. And she always wanted to visit that. So when we were traveling together in India, we made it happen. And actually it's a simple thing. I mean, you just have to find out the address, by that time a telephone number. Nowadays, of course, there's also email, and you can arrange stuff from wherever you are. But at that time, I mean, we had lots of time. We were on a long journey in India. This was going for 1 year. So we had time, and we had this telephone number, and we just gave it a call and made up a date. When can we go there? And he said, okay, in 4 weeks ahead, or in 4 weeks' time, at that and that date, you can come. So, because my lady really had the ambition to do this, I thought to myself, okay, I don't have this big desire, but if it is the way that once in my lifetime I pass through a place like this, it would be a strange attitude if I say, I don't give a damn. I'm not interested. So of course, I mean, this is a special place, and I was traveling always with respect. And hey, you come here to a special place. Let's see what there's for me. Maybe there is even a palm leaf for me. And I went there without any expectation, nor negative nor positive. I was not going there to get answers of my future life and will I have many children and stuff, or when will I die? Will I have a long life? Because they tell you stuff like this. I didn't have this expectation, but I also didn't have a negative expectation, in a sense that I would have thought, this is only charlatans, you know, ripping off people, and it's all bullshit. Because by that time I was already traveling long enough in India, and also I was already traveling a lot in the world, that I was no more so holding on my Western mind. But for me it was clear, in India everything is possible every day, you know, amazing stuff can happen. So I went to this session with an attitude of, well, let's just see what's there for me. Yeah? And so the palm leaf library there in Bangalore, where I went, it's a very simple place. I didn't get to see the library though, where all these palm leaves are stored. That would have been of interest for me, I tell you. I mean, I love that old stuff, you know that. So I would have loved to visit the entire library. But that was not possible, and I didn't urge for that. So, well, when we went there, it was just within Bangalore, and Bangalore is in India one of the most modern towns. It's where all the IT corporations are, and many modern people living there, living a modern lifestyle, in some parts even a Western lifestyle, which is in many cities of India not possible. But in Bangalore is modern. There's even bars where you can go out for a beer or stuff like that, which is rare in India. But also in Bangalore there's this place which has an old continuity. And when I got there, it's looking just regular, you know. It's just like when you have a date with some physician or some doctor. So, you know, there's a waiting room. You come there, already other people were waiting there, Westerners as well as Indian people. And yeah, comes a time, and then you're called on, and you go to this other room where the Nadi reading happens. It's called Nadi Reading. In at least in South Indian language. I'm not sure if Nadi, if that's Sanskrit or if that's Tamil, I'm not sure, but they call it Nadi reading, this procedure of giving you that information. And the only thing that this Nadi reader had from me in advance was my name and my birth date, and also my birthplace, but that was all. And so I guessed, and this is indeed the case, they are already also doing an astrological chart. Indian astrology is a little bit different from ours. It has, I guess, there's 2 houses more in this, so to say, zodiac. If I remember right, it was Rahu and Ketu. Interesting stuff, by the way. But I'm not an astrologist, and especially not in India astrology. I just mentioned that because that was also part of the reading. But that was all the information these people had from me. That's not much. I mean, in the year 2000, also internet did not have the same amount of data that it has now. So I'm quite sure at that time they couldn't do any research just with my name. I mean, I was not doing media work like I'm doing now. I'm saying this because I don't think that any of the information that I got was researched by them in advance. Something like that. Nothing like that. So when I got there, the room was nothing special. It was just like here, a normal atmosphere. No crystal balls or incense in the air. Well, a little bit incense, but that's I guess that's in every Indian home like that. But it was just regular home. And the guy who was doing the Nadi reading was also looking like a regular Indian man. You know, gentle, nice, humble. But just average Indian, the way he was dressed, the way he looked like, nothing like, wow, here comes a big guru or something. It was very down to earth. And I liked that. That was okay, interesting. Yeah? Now, when this Nadi reading started, I sat there at the table like this, the guy in opposite of me, and he had one of these, a leaf like this he had in front of us. And then started the Nadi reading. And in the moment he started, I already realized, well, something's going on here. His personality is sort of changed. Before he was very gentle, like Indian style, you know. But then when the Nadi reading started, he was very, how can I say that, very dominant, you know. He was just, words came out of him like bang, bang, bang. Fact, fact, fact. I know within 1 minute I knew, wow, here's something special going on. Yeah? And there was possibilities to record what he is saying, or you could write down notes. But I didn't do that. You know me, I'm an audio type of guy. So I come from listening, and if I realized right away, ooh, this is special here. So now all the focus is be awake, yeah? Get your ears up and suck in the information that is coming, and just trust that the most important thing somehow you will remember. So you're not always dealing with writing and missing what is really going on. That's the way I'm doing it anyway. But you can also write down stuff, or you can put a tape in, record it, whatever, so you have later access to this information. I'm telling this because just to show these people are open, you know, this is very open atmosphere. There's nothing like secrets and stuff or initiation. It's very open. Now, I told you this guy has sort of changed his personality, and what I felt right away, or what I thought is, this guy is also, how can you say that, he's channeling. He's in a state where he's not talking about out of his mind, but he's talking, or he's connected with something else. He has just the way he was speaking. Yeah, it was all turned different. And later on, that was years later, I heard the following story. I heard that at exactly the time that I visited the Palm Leaf Library in Bangalore, that this library was undergoing some major changes. Out of some reason that I don't know, the firstborn son was not able to do the job. For whatever reason, he might not be interested anymore. He might be attracted to modern life. Maybe it was health problems. I don't know that. But you must see these libraries. There's families that are taking care of the library, and this goes on for generations. This family there in Bangalore, I'm not sure, but that's already for hundreds of years that this family is taking care of the library, taking care of it, copying old stuff, but also doing the Nadi reading. And so this is a family heritage, so to say. And the tradition says that the firstborn in the family, he will be the one who's taking care of the library. So his entire education from childhood on is focused on that way. Because, I mean, we don't know how these people are doing that. Of course, you have to learn a lot just to find your way in this library. I mean, this is not like a modern library where every book has a signature and you find your way, it's all organized. I mean, this is India. This is a totally different organized, and I cannot explain you how it is, but it's, well, of course you have to learn all that stuff. So the story I heard is that at that time, the guy who was supposed to be doing the job, he just couldn't do it. So the second brother, he jumped in, and he was now the one being the head of the library. But this was still a relatively young man, and he was not educated for this job. I guess he had a modern job. He was a student of mechanics, machines, I don't know, something like that. And then all of a sudden he had to take the heritage of his family and a certain call of duty, so to say. Yeah? And what I heard in the story is that to support him, to help him to do this job, because he didn't have the time to prepare for all this. The story goes that the rishi himself was doing the Nadi reading, and this guy who was the man in front of me was, so to say, only the tool or the medium of the rishi, which is very special. I mean, I didn't know this at the time. I realized at the time, hey, something's going on. He's channeling, you know. This is not the man I was seeing before. But later on, I heard the story that it's the rishi himself. Now, who is a rishi? Well, in India, they tell a lot of stories about these rishis. They lived in the Vedic times. So in Indian time scales, this is thousands of years ago. And the rishis were the bringers of culture, the bringers of spiritual wisdom. They were great teachers in Indian tradition. They were the ones that brought the Indians the Vedic knowledge, the knowledge about calendars, about techniques, spiritual knowledge, all of that. So they were pro-human and helping humanity to evolve. That is the role of the rishi. You still hear that in famous places like Rishikesh. You might have heard about that town. It's in northern India, right at the place where the Ganga, the river Ganga, is coming out of the Himalaya. A special place. That's where Rishikesh is. Rishikesh, and it's still nowadays. This is where most Westerners, if you come to India, and you look for learning yoga, finding a guru, then many people head first to Rishikesh, because there's lots of yoga schools and lots of gurus coming out of the mountains and stuff. Like the Beatles, when they went to India, to the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, he had his place also in Rishikesh. So that's the rishis. And the rishis, they were also the ones who were writing these palm leaves. Thousands of years ago. That's what the story goes. Of course, a palm leaf, it doesn't last that long, so every few hundred years you have to copy it. But the original text, they say, was written by the rishis, which had a connection to what? A connection to a, I guess you could call it in modern language something like a morphogenetic field. Rudolf Steiner, the founder of the Theosophical Society, he called it the Akasha-chronic. That's about the same. And the idea is that there is a sort of energy that is saving information. Information from past, information from present, and from future. And so it's all somewhere stored in this non-material, energetic, spiritual realm. And the story goes that the rishis had direct contact into this realm. They had contact into our material world, but also in this spiritual realm, so to say. And that's what they saw. And why they've been writing this down, I don't know, but maybe it was their job or their mission. But what they saw there, they were writing down. And so that's the way how we got to these thousands of palm leaves. And yeah, that's what the story goes. So this is where the information comes from. Now back to my Nadi session there. So that's what I was I'm being confronted with. And I tell you, this was an amazing experience. First, he started off telling me things about my past. Starting off with me, with Frank, this body, this life, and within a minute, just after a few sentences, I knew, whoa, here's something special going on now. This is a special situation, Frank. Woo! Because the first stuff he told me was things about my past, and they were so accurate. This guy knew everything about my life. That was amazing. He knew more than I did. I mean, he told me exactly, like, when I studied, when I was at university. He told me what I studied. But that's also interesting, you know, because this is ancient text. We're talking about a bridge over thousands of years. So of course they use different words than we do. And I guess that's the art of the Nadi reader, or one of his arts, that he's able to translate the information that he's getting from this leaf, the information that he's getting maybe from the astrological chart and also from within or wherever, you know, to translate this in our modern language. So he didn't tell me, hey, you were a student of let's say history or medieval archaeology, the stuff that I studied. No, he said, on university you were making yourself busy with ancient knowledge. That's the way he said it, okay? And that was exactly true. But he could tell me exactly how long I studied, and it was accurate on the year. He could tell me how long I studied. He told me that I did not finish my studies, and he told me also why. That was amazing. I mean, he knew all of that. He told me about my former girlfriend. That was when I was very young. I was together with this lady for 6 or 7 years. He told me all of that. He knew that. He knew the job of this lady, and this is also an example of how he had to translate, so to say, these archetypes, because that's what these people are seeing. They see archetypes. And of course, you're an archetype. That means that you have a certain pattern of life in you, of behaving, of approaching things, but the scenario is changing. If you're, for example, if you're the archetype healer and you live in our times, you live a different life than if you would be the same archetype healer, but you live in, let's say, medieval India. That's a different lifestyle, but it's the same archetype, you see. So these people are showing archetypes, and then he's translating it into our language. And one example was my former girlfriend, because he told me, well, this lady was a healer. And I said, healer? Well, not really, because she was an optician making glasses. And he just smiled at me and said, hey, well, what do you want? I mean, this is healing sight. This is... For him, it's the same archetype, you know. Now, and that's the way he was speaking to me, and of course, many good stuff. He told me about my parents, about the problems that I had in my family in my childhood years. He told me about my grandparents, about and really accurate stuff. My grandfather. He was already, as a young man, he was a student in Paris, which was, by that time, we're talking about pre-First World War, that was not very common, you know. But my grandfather was already a young student in Sorbonne University, and he told me that. How could he know that? Yeah? So, okay, within the first few moments, I realized, ooh, open up your ears, this is really, it's good information coming. Then he went past, and into what in India is called into past lives. You know, in India they are into this reincarnation. So your soul is incarnating time again and again into different bodies, experiencing life. The idea is that so to say, life is a learning school, and you evolve. That's the idea. They see things in the East. Now, reincarnation. To be honest. Nowadays, I don't know if I shall believe that or not. It's possible, and for many decades I was in this, but nowadays I'm going my way of being a free spirit, of being a human being, of trusting myself and my inner reality, and from that point of view where I'm right now, I'm not sure if there's something like a reincarnation or not. I don't know it. I'm not saying it's not, because what I can say is I have inner memories of certain situations, and I know exactly how these situations feel like, but in this life I never experienced that. So I have quite a few of these memories popping up. You might call them also déjà vu effects. Hey, many of you people have that stuff. I mean, that's obviously within us humans, and of course it's a simple explanation. Hey, this is just a former life of yourself. You know, and you experience that, how it is to be called a witch and be brought on the fire or something. You know that. So, because you were that at that time, but I'm not so sure. Because I told you already about this stuff, morphogenetic fields or Akasha-chronic or whatever. And you know, we are living beings, we are souls, and it seems to me also possible that you just pick up the vibration, you know. Maybe a similar archetype, and you pick up the life experience that people with your archetype experience it at other times. So I'm not sure. You know, I know many of you listening here are from the American continent, and that's one example. I feel in me, I know, for example, I know exactly what the Mississippi in the South smells. I know what it looks like. I know what it smells like. I know what it feels like. I know this Mississippi Delta. I know this. I have it in me, you know. And if I listen to music, there's resonance in me. So for many years I thought, wow, that was my former life. I spent there. And the funny thing is, talking about the south of the USA and the Mississippi, and I realized, it's also funny, I realized all these things also in India, they popped up, and wow, interesting memories and stuff. And the funny thing is with the Mississippi, I know how the Mississippi looks and feels like, and I know it with white skin, I also know it with black skin. So that's within me. It's funny, yeah? So, but does that say it's a former life or not? I don't know. I don't know. But that's not the point. He told me that's former lives, and he gave me some examples. He told me about former lives in Japan, in India, in Europe. He gave me 4 or 5 examples, but he told me, hey, that's only a few examples, because he told me there's already hundreds of incarnations that I have made here on Earth. As a matter of fact, he told me this is my last incarnation here. And so I'm sort of on a joyride here. Time to say goodbye to Earth, and yeah, that sounds also okay. And the interesting thing was, whatever he told me, when he was telling me what I did in medieval Japan or ancient Japan, I mean, everything he said was always, there was a resonance within my heart. It was always like, yeah, I know. That's the way it was going. I was always saying, yeah, right. And this is why this experience is so powerful, because he told me nothing that is not within me. Because that's where the bullshit might start. Okay, no, this is no. But everything he told me resonated in me. And there's many things that were giving me strength, because things that I knew already, but I was maybe not. I dared not to stand for it. You know, we're humble people, and sometimes it's difficult for us human beings to trust ourselves, ain't it? This is sometimes difficult. Also, and we're not talking only about nice things, but also about things that are not so balanced within my life, challenges, so to say, things that you can work on, things that you're not doing right, maybe also health risks. I mean, the entire thing. And with every word he said, I realized, yeah, he's right, man. This is I knew this before, and this is giving me strength. You see, he's not telling me something that I am not, but what he was giving me is like a mirror. It's a mystic mirror, and it's the sharpest mirror that I ever got presented. Yeah, that's amazing. So within this session, he laid out in front of me not only my life, but my soul, the red thread of my soul. Wow, and this is a great gift. I mean, you cannot do that easily with yourself. You know, out of my point of view, self-reflection, that's what it's all about in life. That's what it's all about in life. Check out yourself, you know. You have to realize yourself, you have to know who you are and who you are not. And all this game of masks, and I'm doing this, and expectation from other people and stuff, this is only leading us away from ourselves. And the main goal in life, as I understand it, and the art of living, is to get in a balance, to know yourself and to live out of yourself. You're not responsible for what you are. This might be coming from God or whatever you believe, you just don't know it. But just live your personality. Whatever is in you, what you are, live it. And then you will realize, wow, there's diversity within human beings. There's different human beings. But if we all live ourselves and live from our inner position, wow, we get some harmony in life. You know, because there's exactly the right people. There's the right amount of healers. There's the right amount of people who can build machines or build shelter, build a house. Whatever, you know, all the jobs that we have, there's the right amount of people making music and bringing joy and all this. So if you find out who you are, and if you live that way, if the more people do that, the more we get into harmony. And that's just perfect. And So that's what it's all about. And this was what this guy was giving me. He was helping me a lot in self-realization, in realizing who I am and what I am not. What is still illusion that I constructed on my own or was laid upon me by my parents, generations, teachers, whatever, you know that. And that was what made this so powerful. So this is the first part of his Nadi reading. It was all going to the back, starting in the here and now and going back, and it was just powerful. Then we came back to where we are right now, and then we come to the future. And I guess this is probably for most people the most amazing stuff. Is really the future? Is it already there? I mean, can he tell you exact stuff of the future? Well, I give you my first-hand report. First, he was giving me some predictions about my near future, right from that point in the year 2000. And he told me I should go to the Himalayas soon, because in the Himalaya there's information waiting for me, very important information. And that was funny because I was already on my way to the north. I mean, we spent most of the time in southern India, but at that time we were already on the way to the north. So we passed by Bangalore, and I guess 10 days later I was at the Himalayas. And indeed there was interesting information coming to me, but that doesn't matter now. What's that about? But so these predictions were right. But then, the further in the future we got, the unclearer it got. And this is really amazing, because I know most people that I heard who have visited these Palm libraries, the most accounts of people that I heard, they claim that all the future stuff was absolutely accurate, the same way that was the past, but it was not with me. That's strange, because and we're not talking about details, but we're talking about major things. Because he told me, in this life, he told me, I will not have a family. This is not my mission. I'm not a family man. I won't be married, and I won't have any children. But well, I'm married and I have 2 children, and I live together with this woman, and I live together with my children. So I guess you could call me a family man. Now that is striking if I look back now. I mean, because this is not some detail that you might mix up, and all the other stuff is so accurate. Yeah, I mean, how come that this is so turned out in such a different way? This is very interesting, and I thought about this a lot in my life, of course. Why was it? I mean, now I can talk about that, because he also told me, and he didn't have to, or he wouldn't have to, but he still did. But he told me, keep this stuff for yourself. Don't go out, yelling, "Hey, this is what my further life," or this is what, just for example, I was this great knight in the medieval times. I mean, don't go out with this, This is something private, this is something intimate, you might say. Use it for yourself, but don't go showing off. That's what I want to say. And indeed, I didn't speak about these things for many years. But now, because it's already 18 years back, I feel free. I mean, some of this stuff is already so far gone, and that's why I feel free also to share some of these things with you, because I'm now on a different time level, and I guess I can do that. Yeah, so that's interesting that my future changed. He told me also many other stuff about my future. These guys are so accurate. He told me exactly when I will die. He asked me before, "Do you want to know that?" And I said, "Yeah, kick it up, man." So he told me also how old I will be and all of that. Though, where's that now? I don't know if that's reliable, because other predictions also didn't happen. And I tell you one thing, I'm happy that it is that way. I'm happy that it is that way. Because that's a deep philosophical question. I mean, is everything determined? Is everything already somewhere written in the book, and we just live it out, play out the drama, so to say, just like some actors, but we are not the ones who are writing the script? I mean, well, I don't like this worldview too much, because if you live like this, where's then your freedom? Where's your free will? Where's your responsibility for your life? I mean, if everything is written down before, there's no freedom at all, isn't it? You might even push it into to faraway limits. Like you might even say, even for some criminal act, you might not take responsibility because you might say, "Hey, sorry, why do you want to punish me? I just act like my nature. I'm not responsible for that. It's just the way the gods made me." Well, this determination thing, so that everything is written down already in advance. This is an old question. Is everything fate, or is there free will? And I tell you, for thousands of years, human beings were discussing that. Even nowadays, this question is still not solved. Check out now in modern science that is going with genetics and the latest informations we get from how do you say that in English? In German they call it Hirnforschung, a brain, where they check out how the brain is functioning and all these things. And this is all determination. These scientists say, hey, freedom or free will, that's an illusion. You know, you're just exactly the product of your genes. It's like in Freemasonry, just to put this example to make it understand. It's the idea that it's with the Masons, it's this mechanical worldview. God is the great constructor, or the great. It's the great clockwork, so to say. It's one big mechanism, and everything comes from start to end. And if you're just smart enough, if you have just enough capacity calculation, you're a big enough computer, you might calculate everything, because everything is coming from a cause, and everything is within itself logic. But this worldview is obviously it's not right. It's obviously also not totally wrong. This is the confusing thing. This old question, is everything determined, or do we have a free will? It's like, it reminds me of the nature of light. You remember what's it called? The double slit experiment in physics? I guess you might have had that in high school. It's light. It can be in waves, or it can come as a particle. Actually, these things cannot come together. It's either it's a wave or it's a particle. Decide. You cannot be both, but light is both. And it's similar is it with our life. I mean, you can definitely argue towards the way, hey, it's all determined. Science points can find arguments for that, and also in your life you can see that. There's amazing stuff there. But also, you can look at a human being from the other way, and you can say, hey, a human being is the result of its surroundings, of education, how the parents treated you. So it's up to us human beings to create our lifestyle. As a child, of course, you are created by your parents, and they can send you on a good road or on a negative one. But then at a certain age, when you become an adult, you are the one creating your life. There's an old German saying, it says, jeder seines Glückes Schmied, which translate that everyone is the smith of his own luck. I mean, you are the one creating your luck, and you're also responsible for it. So both directions can be right, and both are right, and it's, well, what can I tell you? This is a mystery, yeah? Both is right. And I guess this is the art of living, to find a balance there. Because of course, there's some big wheels that are turning that you cannot change, and it would be a hybris, you know, as a human being to think, hey, you can create everything. I know there's now some new age teachers that tell you exactly this thing. Hey, you are creating your reality, and you know, if you got the right technique and you work on your mind and your magic powers, maybe you can create, you know, big time reality. And yeah, it's right. Of course, you create your reality, but also you're not the only one creating reality. So there's also others, and there's also some big wheels that you cannot change. I mean, just check out the seasons. You cannot change reality from summer to winter or whatever. I mean, this is coming. Like Leonard Skinner was saying, big wheels keep on turning, and it's, out of my point of view, that's the challenge for us human beings, to tune yourselves in the big wheels and not work against the rhythm of these big wheels, but tune yourself in. And how can you do that? By tuning your inner self. Because that's also the mystery. If you follow yourself, and if you really act as what you really are, out of your heart, out of your inner position, then the more successful you are in this kind of lifestyle, the more you get tuned in the big wheels. That's where harmony is coming, you know. And of course, then when you have harmony in your life, that doesn't mean that everything is always nice and shiny. It's like the weather, of course. We have sunny days when we have lightning. But it means that you have not so many dramas, tragedies in your life that is totally messed up. This feeling that you lose the ground under your feet. These things are often a result of disharmony. Disharmonic. So that's why also we all want to live a happy life. I mean, that's what our purpose is here. You come here on earth, so you want to be happy, and that's the way you can reach that goal. Getting in harmony, and you get in harmony if you realize yourself. That's what it's all about. So probably it's both. It's just the way that you look at it. It reminds me of this story of the German author Michael Ende, The Neverending Story. There's also a movie, so you might have heard this story, The Neverending Story. And in The Neverending Story, it's told that everything that happens is written down. And everything that's written down happens. So it's, you know where I want to go with this? There's a certain polarity there, yeah, and you have to get this stuff in balance. Yeah. Now, back to this ancient library. What I was thinking for many years now is, why were these predictions for my life so in many ways so different? I mean, some were right. He was, for example, he was telling me. He was telling me, yeah, you will be together with this lady for another few years. Then she will start her project. You will help her set it up, and then you will start your own project. And he told me what I am. He told me I'm a teacher in the art of living. So I guess that's not totally wrong, isn't it? I mean, that's what I'm doing here. You know, I'm sharing information. So one might call myself a sort of a teacher. We talk about archetypes, so it's not totally wrong. But the way this fulfills in my life, the way I do it, is different from what he told me. Why is that? Is that because, and for me this is an important virtue, is it because my free will is so strong that I kind of constructed my own way? I dropped out of the mainstream that was in plan for me. Is it that? And indeed, it might be. But to make you understand this, I would have to open up a big story, and I might make it in some future episode, because it has to do with a place in South India that I'm deeply connected with, and I might drop it as well already now. It's a sacred mountain in South India, and it's called Arunachala. And I have a deep relation to this. I spend lots of time there. I might say, this is the most important thing in my life. Is this place? I have a connection with it inside, you know. And the quality of this mountain of Arunachala is, and that's the way the Indians describe it as well. It's the dissolver of karma. It dissolves karma. It's like a fire, and you go there and you sit there, and this energy is doing something with you, and it's dissolving karma. So I was wondering many years, maybe that's, so to say, a shortcut. This Arunachala is a shortcut. And I was already in that time, in the year 2000, I was wondering why the Nadi reader in this 1 hour that I was with him, why he did not mention this mountain at one time. I was already wondering, that's amazing, why doesn't he say that? It already has such a big presence in my life, and but he didn't mention that at all. And that's my personal conclusion, that this Arunachala is somehow a shortcut, and it changed life. It doesn't change the archetype, because then it wouldn't a place I would tell you, oh, don't go there. This mountain, and I will speak to you more of it some other day. But what this energy of the mountain does, is burning everything away that you are not, so that you get deeper into this self-realization that I was talking before, and everything that you are not is taken away from you. That's the quality of this Arunachala. And so the archetype still stands. It doesn't make a different man out of you. No, it makes you. It gets out you who you really are. That's what it's about. So maybe this was the shortcut that the Rishi didn't see. But for me, it's still a great mystery. Why didn't the Rishi see that? Or why didn't he even realize, hey, with this guy, with me, there's something going on. I cannot see too clear in the future. But that's not what he did, because he was doing the same accuracy. He was telling me about my future life, and these things didn't fit. And I was always wondering, why did he do that? Because isn't he taking or giving away sort of some of his credibility? And for the purpose of giving me a big mystic mirror, that's not necessary. You don't have to tell me exactly when I die. That's not so important for me. But, well, that's one of the mysteries. I cannot explain you why it is that way. I just tell you how I experience that thing. But the great thing is, and I hope this is coming to you, because I'm not, if I look back now, I don't say, see, the Rishi, he didn't know. Yeah? No, I have highest respect for the Rishi. And even right now, he might listen, you know what I'm saying. So I have highest respect. This was a great mirror I got. This was very helpful, because it showed me my red thread. It put the energy to me, into my heart. That's what it's about, you know, that you're not seeking truth anywhere outside in some gods, prophets, books, gurus, whatever, but you have to go inside. And this is what helped me so much. If you get this and a mirror of this type, this kicks you just into you, yeah. And that's what happened there. I still have some pictures, man. I nearly forgot. Just to get you a feeling about these palm leaves. And this is the writings, and this is not Sanskrit, the classical old Indian script. This is old Tamil. I told you, this is in South India, and South India, these are Tamils. And this is in old writings. These are old writings. As a matter of fact, old Tamil, the people in Tamil Nadu, they say this is elder than Sanskrit. Tamil Nadu and the people of the Tamils is a very, very interesting culture, an old culture. They have an old continuity and very interesting stuff, and I think you can already see that the letters, you know, it's all coming in circles and spirals and very interesting. So this entire Tamil culture is a hub, so to say, of information. Because that's also what I want to tell you. When we talk about palm leaf libraries, we Westerners, we are so much focused on, oh, this is where we get the predictions. We like that. Yeah? But from an Indian point of view, this is only one segment of this entire phenomena. Because the rishis, they were not here to be our entertainers and to provide us with some freaky information. No, we're talking about a lot of information, also totally different stuff. And what I'm saying is, we in the West, we have no idea how many of these palm leaf libraries are out there. Every one of these old temples in India, and there's many old temples, especially in the south of India. Because in the northern of India, that was always invaded and plundered different times. You know, we know about the English, and of course they were also in the south, but more at the coast. The inner south is more or less untouched, more or less. But in the north of India, there was lots of stuff going on. English were there. Before there was Moguls, Islamic emperors, and they were always raiding India, you know. India, most people, when they think of India, they think, oh, this is where the people are so poor and stuff. Okay, that's true. But as a matter of fact, India is the richest country in the world, and always was. I mean, you know, it's so rich in resources, and it was plundered again and again. It was always... it attracted warlords and armies all the time because it was so rich. Same goes with the English then. But in the south of India, we have, because it's so remote, it was not plundered that often. So in the south, there's really old information. And India as a society, I would say, is the most conservative society in the world. And conservative, not in a political sense, but conservative in its truest meanings, that you conserve something, that you keep something. And these people in India, they are traditionalists. They copy these things over and over again. So they preserve that. They hold it. And I tell you, India, in Indian temples, there's so much knowledge that's so old, we don't have a clue how much that is. And it's also not possible for us nowadays to go there and read it all. Of course, within India, you cannot, as a Western, you cannot just go there and hey, can I borrow some of this and translate and work on these texts? It's not possible. But also within India itself, I guess there's only few people who can even write that stuff, read or write that stuff. Some of the languages on these papers are so old. We're talking about Proto-Tamil. I mean, Tamil is an old language and old writing, but we're talking about Proto-Tamil, which even came before, or Proto-Malayan or whatever. I mean, there's only a handful of people who can read this stuff. Just understanding the letters and decoding the text. And what's even worse, that's what they also say in India. In India, they say we are now in the dark age, which means an age of ignorance, of spiritual ignorance. Kali Yugam, they call it. And so the Indians say, there's, even in India, even within the most pure priest or holy man who live a sattvic lifestyle, that means sattvic, that means pure, always meditation, no sins, no alcohol and stuff. So even the purest ones are not pure enough to even understand what this old Vedic knowledge is about. So we don't know how to understand these languages, and also the content of this knowledge is probably in many cases far out, and it's an art to translate it into our time. In the Nadi reading, it's the personal job of the Nadi reader. But if we're talking about all this philosophical wisdom, all this Vedic knowledge, wow, I can just tell you, it's there. But we don't know it yet. Indians still preserve it. Maybe in future generations we can slowly dig on that intellectual treasure, so to say, and see what do they have in place. Maybe there's some information that's helpful for us. We might see. But that's what's really important for me is not only to focus on this personal stuff, that I get something for myself, but to realize that these palm leaves and the rishi connection, this is old stuff, this is old knowledge, and there's a lot of it. And in a future episode, and I will dig deeper into this, and I will show you some temples and talk to you about some of the temple secrets that are mind-blowing. I mean, this is really amazing what they find in India. And I tell you, I know only so little about so much of India. But I know that this is there. This is what I'm saying. I realize, hey, India has so much more in the box for us, and this is just the surface that we are getting attracted about. Hey, wow, they can do future predictions and stuff. Yeah. Here we have another picture of these bundles, and you can imagine how many these get. I mean, one of this piece is already enough for your life. Get some bundles. Bundles get stapled. I would have loved to see that. And I would also really, I'm interested, how do you get the right leaf out there? You know, somebody like I come, you have only my name and birthday. How do you find the right leaf for Frank? Where is it? How do you know that? And this is also interesting because, well, we come, in India things run different. This is not just made by a signature and he's looking then at the letter Frank, F, okay, here we got it. That's not the way things go. They are divided, I don't know, maybe in certain archetypes. I mean, this is generally is an interesting matter of how you organize libraries. You know Umberto Eco, The Name of the Rose, in the library. They already had their own system, and as a stranger you don't understand it all. Well, here in India it's even more. There's no way that you can find your way in these libraries. That's a lifetime job. That's why, even as a kid, you have to be born into that. And I don't know how they do it. But these libraries are big, and there's another picture where you can see. I mean, check it out. I don't know where this picture is made from. I didn't take it. I told you I couldn't visit the library itself. I don't know how many of these palm leaves are just in Bangalore, but it's millions. And I know that some of the temples they have, you know, dozens of rooms like this, just one temple. That's amazing stuff. Yeah. So what else did this guy tell me? And I also wanted to tell you that if you ever have the chance to go there, do it. I know nowadays in India you have to be careful that you get at the right place, because of course the Indians they realize that oh, these Westerners, they love to hear these stories. So of course there's many Indians that are making a business out of it, that offer you Nadi readings on the street. You might have a couple of those, and hey, wow, something's telling me, I go with you, and just a few hundred rupees and I give you a Nadi reading. And it might also be powerful. In India, you never know what's going to happen to you. So it might also be even the simple man on the street is giving you a mystical mirror. That's possible. But of course, there's lots of people just making money out of it. But talking about money, coming back to my own experience, money wasn't a matter at all. You know, the session grew on, and he gave me information about also my future and the stuff. And at some point we were through. And by the way, he also didn't read the whole text for me. That was also something strange. I mean, this leaf in front of me, he was telling me, okay, here in the upper part there's this information and stuff. And but it's sort of at the half of the leaf he stopped. He told me, I cannot tell you now the second part of it, but you will come back again, and then I tell you, and you will come back within the next 2 or 3 years. Well, that's 18 years away. I never went back, so I don't know what was in there. That would also be interesting now to find out what was in the second part. Was there maybe things that were in stake for me, but I changed my way or something? I don't know. Or might it even be like in the Neverending Story, because my life changed? Might there also be, in some mysterious way, the letters changing? Like in some Kabbalistic tradition or something, you know? Maybe if you dig out the leaf now, it's something different written on. Who knows? Who knows? I don't know that. Yeah? It's a great mystery, and that's the way I deal with it. You know, of course I'm always wondering, you know, and digging, but I also have always the respect of the infinite, and I know, hey, come on, it's big mystery, and I surf in it, you know. Yeah, but so he told me I will come back, and well, I didn't. But to come back to the session, so at one time we came to an end, and I was just wow! I was so loaded with information. I was so powerful. You know, the curtain opened up, and I saw infinity, and I saw my life, no beginning of this red thread, no ending. Wow, amazing! And also it was uplifting, because he was giving me some uplifting information. There was not too much negative stuff, not many tragedies or big dramas in my life, and indeed I live more or less a happy life, you know. And so when we were finished, I remember that so well. He just smiled at me, and he asked me, "Are you happy?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm happy." And that was that was this deep yeah. I go out now, out of this door, and I go hit the streets and hit life and hit India and hit my entire life, wherever in India or wherever I go. And I'm gonna embrace, and I say, yeah. That's the way I was feeling when I was going out there. That was amazing. And yeah, but I told you, talking about money. So that was the end. And we said namaste, and I was going out there shiny. Wow, that's great. But I left the room, and then I wondered, but hey, what about paying? Yeah? I mean, I do have to pay something for that, don't I? And I didn't see the man anymore, but he had something like a secretary, a lady who was organizing the stuff. But she also, nobody told me anything about what this cost. They never mentioned it, never beforehand, nor else when I was finished. But I was there, okay, I mean, I have to give something, of course, yeah. I mean, but then the question, what is this worth? I mean, you cannot pay this in money. And I felt it at that day, and also now. For me, this is a special gift that I received, and I'm so happy for this. This is a special grace. I mean, I'm not the only one. Yeah, you can go there, but of course, not many of all these human beings have ever the possibility in your life that you get to this point of this library. Yeah? You can do that. You can organize it. Nowadays, it's probably not so difficult. You can find out the email address and ask them. But of course, you have to have the means. Can you travel there and stuff? It's just not in your hometown. Yeah? So for me, I always felt this was something special, a gift, a grace that I got this. Even by that time when I didn't know anything about this Rishi stuff. But wow, that was powerful. So. What do I pay for it? What is that worth? Nobody told me. It's easy. It would be easy if somebody tells you, yeah, it's $50 or so. That's then you know. But I didn't know. But I tell you this also only to show you these people in this library. That was not the financial interest. Was not in the foreground. Of course, these people also have to live, and this library has to be kept. It's a lot of work, and of course you have to give something, but this was not the focus. Give what you want, even if you don't give anything. This was not why he was doing that. He was not doing that for financial purpose. So I don't even know how much I gave, something like $40 in rupees, of course, which sounds shaming if I think about it now. I mean, $40, come on, there's nothing. That's if you go to a restaurant. But on the other hand, it was right. And within India at that time, this is some money that you can do something with. And I was not a rich man. I'm only telling you this to show you this. It's not always that they have financial interest. But if you want to visit one of these libraries, you have to take care of that. You have to, yeah. Probably it's a good idea if you have some time. For me, it was just perfect because I was already in India for a few months, and this was not my main desire. As I told you, it was more that, more or less by accident, life leads me past that library, and it would be foolish. And it would be from hybris if I say, hey, I don't care, I don't go there. So of course, hey, my way leads me there. Hey, let's see what's there, and that was graceful. And so I'm saying you cannot do that just for a weekend. I mean, it takes probably more time to organize that. But anyway, that's Indian style. But what you can be sure, if you really call that, if it's really important for you, I'm sure you can find these places. I don't know if in what state the Bangalore library is in right now, but hey, this is running for centuries, so I'm quite sure they are still there, and they are the ones that I can recommend, but probably not the only ones. But yeah, what I can tell you, if you really want to go there, you can, but it takes some time. It takes a process, and but it's worth it. It was really one of the most amazing things that happened in my life. This was a great, powerful mirror, a great coming together with this spiritual force whatever. I didn't know that by that time. Now I know it's, or think to know it was this rishi power. But you know, just getting communication with a source like this is helpful. But on the other hand, isn't it great? And it makes me grin, and not grin about the guru or the rishi, but it makes me just happy that even those people, they don't know everything. Because this is where and I'm a humanist, you know. I'm totally for humans, and it's in us. We have freedom. We can also create our life. Yeah, there's some big wheels. Yes, there's genetic. You cannot change. I'm born in this body, and to everyone out there, if you're German or if you're Japanese or North American Indian, a native, it doesn't matter. Find your identity, you know, and get along with who you are. Accept this, you know, accept this body. It's no use if I say, oh, I'm so pale, you know. I'd love to be more looking like a Latin lover, or some black man thinks I would love to have my skin white, or some lady one lady says, oh, my breasts are too small, and the next one says my breasts are too big. Hey, all this is only I'm creating trouble. Accept the way you are. Accept these big wheels, you know. But then within this big wheel, hey, you can create, you can live, you can be, you can grow. And the more you get connection with your inside, with yourself, soul, seul in French, selbst in German. This is all the same root of the language. The self, you know. The more you get connection with this, wow, and the more you accept this. This is also important. Not only find out who you are, but also accept it and be who you are, and don't try to change it. You see, another stuff that we will talk about at some point will be transhumanism. And I'm just opening up the store. Check out transhumanism. This is exactly people who are not accepting the way they are. No, we need to change it. We need to doctor it. We need to create superhuman and all that stuff. But hey, this is only leading to a tragedy. The right way is go into yourself and accept what you are. Be who you are. And this is the message I received from this palm leaf library. As a matter of fact, this is the message I received in my entire India journey. Discover India, discover yourself. That's what the Indian travelers always say. And as a matter of fact, this is my entire life. That's what life is about. Find out who you are. Be who you are. Trust yourself. Trust in yourself. Live this vibration. And then you will realize the more you do that, the more you get in tune with bigger things. And then astounding things can happen. You know, all these little resonances in day-to-day life. You meet the right people, and wow, this is happening then. Then life becomes like a flow. And that's what this stuff was helping me. But on the other hand, it's not all written down, because then, you know, I'm a humanist. I'm a rebel as well. Hey, if it was all determined, and I told you that at another instance, if we would be all products only of some higher entity, of some god or some aliens, you know, where would be our freedom? It would not be there. I mean, then you're just like a goldfish in a glass. I mean, living in your own little reality, but there's nothing that you can do. But hey, I believe in humans. I believe in human being. I believe in the soul, in the spirit that is in the human being, and that also gives you something like a free will. But then again, if you live on free will, you have to take responsibility. Or to say it in the words of the great poet Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan, in one of his songs, he said, if you live outside the law, you must be honest. And that's exactly it. You know, either you give away responsibility and let others tell you how to do. We have got a good state, you know, you get a job, you work for this, and healthcare, everything is done for you, you know. Probably most people even like to live that. But if you want to live a free life, if you want to live outside this mainstream, outside the law, if you want to live on your own laws, you must be honest. There's no bullshit in that. And you must be really having a connection with yourself and hit the life honest with open arms. And then you cannot fool around. So that's the way. I mean, if you want to live free, you take responsibility. But then again, you can trust yourself. And well, that's my lifestyle, and I guess this experience this, it just helped me a lot to trust in this lifestyle, and because you see, hey, there's a bigger red thread than small Frank Stoners. There's something bigger. I'm not even talking about God or something will happen after life or so, but here, right now, there's something bigger than only our ego mind, where we are, well, quite small there. And this is just helpful. This is helpful to make your living here. So, oh man, I come into talk. I could go on for this for a long while, because I love it so much, and I could tell you much more stories of India, and I will maybe sometime. But for nowadays, folks, for now we have to close. Time is running up. So I hope that this was inspiring for you. I hope that some of the stuff I was telling you is maybe kicking up some resonance in your heart. Same like when I heard first of this stuff, I knew, ooh, there's something interesting. And yeah, if it's so, we would be happy if you stay with us, stay with our channel, subscribe our channel, hit the donation button, support our work. But then I tell you, the greatest thing for me would be if you get a little inspiration out of that, to trust your own way, and then I'm happy. Are you happy now? I'm happy. Okay, well, thank you for listening, and see you next time, man. Ciao.